Vice President,
I'm Michel Affin. I'm a professor here at the Management Department.
Building a successful business is very much like waging a war. It requires careful planning, forward thinking, but most importantly, good leadership and good soldiers. We believe that Metro does have the good soldiers, does have the good leadership, but we're here today to ensure that not only does Metro survive this war, but emerges stronger and bigger than ever. Good afternoon, my name is Tony Wren, and with me I have my colleagues Karim Bakari and Alexis Tremblay. And today, we will be showing you Metro's battle plan for the future, called Defend and Conquer. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you briefly through what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to begin with talking a little bit about the mandate, what we're here for, talk a little bit about what the industry looks like today, and how exactly we're going to fight this two-front war. Step one being defend against discounters and specialty retailers, and then step two to conquer. We'll quickly go through some financial implications, as well as how we're going to implement the strategy, and then move on to some key takeaways. So our mandate, what are we here today to talk about? What are the key drivers for Metro moving into the future? We've identified two long-term goals for Metro, one, growth, and two, sustainability. We know that the grocery landscape is a maturing market. We want to ensure that Metro, in this maturing industry, continues to move forward and establish market share, and to continue to grow despite the saturated market. In terms of sustainability, we know that the grocery landscape is also changing very much. And moving into the short-term and long-term future, we want to ensure that Metro continues to be a dominant player in both Ontario and Quebec. So how exactly is this industry changing? What are we seeing in terms of grocery stores, superstores, discount stores? We're seeing two large trends. The first being consolidation. So in the recent years, we see Sobeys, we see Loblaws, we see these companies beginning to pick up these small companies, micro acquisitions along the way. 68.4% of the Quebec grocery store market in 2010 was owned by three of the largest grocery store companies, and that's a very significant figure, and we'll talk a little bit about the significance of that later. And as well, outsiders. So this is Walmart, this is Target. These are companies that didn't sell groceries before. They're entering this space hoping to establish a presence, and we want to make that, we don't want that to affect us moving into the future. But on the other side of the coin, we have our consumers, the people who are buying our groceries. How are their habits, how are their preferences changing? So we've identified three trains of thought with regards to our consumer. The first being a preference towards ethnic goods. And this is where the demographics don't lie, the numbers don't lie. We see that by 2031, more than half the population in Canada will be foreign born, with the three highest immigration countries in the past 3 years coming from China, Philippines, and India. And this is all concentrated in the Asian Pacific region. We've also identified natural, organic, and gourmet foods moving to the future. But in order to stay aligned and stay focused, we've chosen to move forward with our ethnic train of thought. So now I'll pass on to my colleague Karim, who will talk a little bit more into detail about our plan.
Thank you. So as you mentioned to us, you have two goals basically. First of all, you want growth, and then you also want sustainability in your future years. So the way we're going to do that is with two different strategies. First of all, defend, that allow you to maintain sustainability and maintain your strong position within the current Quebec and Ontario markets. And finally, also conquer, that is growth within the Quebec and Ontario markets as well. And now we're going to present more in details how you're going to achieve these two goals through our three basically sub-strategies. So let's move on, more in details, and look at the current situations. So basically, Metro is currently in the middle. Now you're currently facing pressure from the top and the bottom, that is from general merchandisers such as supercenters, that is Walmart, and also to a certain extent Target. And then on the other hand, you also face competition from specialty retailers such as Whole Foods and T&T supermarkets. Now these stores compete with you on the basis of the kind of products that they sell that are more unique, whereas Walmart, for example, competes on the basis of price. And you're somewhere in the middle. And now, in addition to having the Metro brand, you also have some sub-companies and retailers that you operate. So you have Food Basics, for example, and Super C that are also competing on the basis of price. And you also have Adonis and Crème Moisson that are operating and selling more unique and niche products. And although we don't really believe that these sub-companies of Metro are really falling into any of these categories, we think that these are the ones that will allow you to really protect yourself against the invasion of specialty and general merchandisers. So we're going to look at more in detail how you're going to be able to, first of all, protect yourself against these big guys such as Walmart and Target, and then protect yourself against these smaller players that are selling more specific products. So first of all, on the first hand, we're going to look at the top part. So that is the discounters. Now, how do these stores operate? First of all, they are based on convenience and also, as we said, low prices. In addition, these stores such as Walmart supercenters really leverage their one-stop propaganda. That is the fact that you can go there and buy everything all at once, not only groceries, but mainly any other items that you need in your household. And also the fact that they're low price also comes at a price, the fact that they also offer very low service. And who do they target? So basically they target people that are price sensitive, so people that are looking for cheaper products and don't mind having a lower quality service, and also people that are looking for discounts and these sort of things. So how can we counter these big companies? So we believe that the way for you to counter these companies such as Walmart and Target would be through e-commerce. In fact, e-commerce is one of the most convenient ways to do business, and we think that this would be one of the best ways to do grocery shopping in the years to come. So let's look at how this would work more in detail. So we believe that you should develop this new e-commerce and web shopping platform for grocery shopping, and that will allow you to really compete against these bigger companies. So this is really convenient because people can just browse all the products that Superseed and Food Basics sells in their stores, and people can do that online or on their mobile app, and then they can compare the prices more easily. And also, the thing is, we know that Metro cannot compete on a price basis with these bigger companies, and that's why we will limit this strategy, for the moment at least, to your more price-focused segments, which are Superseed and Food Basics. And we'll explain later on in the implementation plan how we're going to roll out this strategy eventually to the Metro as a whole. So how will this work? First of all, this is going to be divided into two categories. First of all, you have this way. So at home, first of all, customers will be just browsing the products on their, let's say, online or on the mobile app. Then they can just purchase the products, order them online and pay online, and finally receive them at their home in a very convenient way within one day. And on the other hand, what does that mean for Metro, so for the company? Instead of basically people going to the actual grocery stores to buy the groceries, you would have the distribution centers which will, on one hand, ship the products to the grocery stores as usual, and in addition, you will have the home deliveries that will be done directly from the distribution centers as opposed to going through the grocery stores at first. Now, the other way that we want to encourage you to do e-commerce is through these what we call the Metro in the Metro strategy. So basically, this is based on what a company, Tesco, did in South Korea. So what we propose to you is that people that will be waiting for the Metro in the Montreal Metro at first, they will be able to basically there will be this a visual design that's going to consist of big posters, and basically it's going to look like shelves from the supermarket, except that it's just pictures with QR codes. And what people can do is just scan the QR codes with the phone, and then they can just simply directly purchase products from any of your stores, directly from the Metro station, from their phone. And that is obviously the most convenient way to do business, to do grocery shopping, because basically at that time they have nothing else better to do instead of just waiting for the Metro, and at least they might as well make their grocery shopping in a very convenient way. So this is something that we're going to propose to you in order to compete against Walmart and Target, for example. In terms of product offering, this is going to be very similar to what you currently offer in your lower price categories. So that is, for example, Superseed. So all the products that you're going to be selling there are going to be available on the online platform. And also, in the long term, we're going to roll out this strategy to the Metro, basically stores. And that's obviously going to be used as a pilot program in order to see how that's going to be very efficiently used.
So now that we know that we're actually going to be able to outcompete the mass merchandisers by being more convenient as well as cutting overheads, allowing us to sell at a better price, let's look at how we'll actually defend ourselves against the second of our competitors, which are actually specialty stores. But these stores are quite specific in their nature. They tend to be very niche products priced at a premium price. They're also very focused on service. So in service, if you go there, you're expected a very good quality service. You expect to be welcomed with a smile, with some good information, some very knowledgeable way staff is going to give you information. And they're also expecting it very fresh as well as a good quality of the product. Their target consumers is a conscious, yet very inelastic in terms of pricing, and it's looking for high quality as well as a good in-store experience. And so, as we will see next, Our solution to fight them off is actually going to be to buy them out, because these competitors are small and are growing fast. And so these are rather affordable targets, and they're also going to be able to generate growth in an industry that is growing very, very slowly. And so what you want to do is you want to monitor trends very carefully. You want to monitor them on a local, regional, as well as national basis, because these specialty stores tend to vary in sizes and shape. They can be very small, they can be chains, so you want to make sure you keep an eye on for everything that's coming out. And you also want to make sure to acquire the fastest growing out of those, so you make sure that you have the right targets in sight. The acquisition of potential targets, we've actually done some exercise. We've looked at the trends. We saw that the most attractive trends was actually in ethnic food. We also saw previously, as was mentioned by my colleague Tony, that the fastest growing population or immigration ethnicity in all of Canada and Quebec is the Asian population. So here are three targets that are very attractive. What they all have in common is that they're fairly well known for the quality of their product. They're also good service and they're affordable. So this is something that will allow you to maintain your strong balance sheet as well as increasing your growth. So moving forward, we see that they were known for something, and once you acquire them, you want to make sure to maintain that good quality of your product as well as the service level. And the way you're going to do this is by maintaining the name as well as this small boutique feel. So I go to that store, I want to feel like I'm exclusive. I'm going there, it's underground, it's very, very niche product. I want to be able to get out and talk to my friend about, hey, I found this place. I don't want to go to Metro and taste this product. Though there might be some cross-selling opportunities, we actually want to maintain the boutique feel of those stores. You want to maintain the eye knowledgeability of the employees that work there, and you want to train them well as well. So, very few people know that one of the most powerful empires in the world, the Roman Empire, actually waged a very similar war to the one you're facing today. They were facing many different opponents. They were facing enemies that were different and yet very, very powerful. And because all of their energies and their resources were being diverted away, a rather small slave rebellion actually almost brought the old Roman Empire to its knee. And so the lessons to be learned from this from Metro is actually that while you're facing many different and very powerful opponents, you want to make sure you keep on doing what you're doing best, which is providing additional services, innovating, and making sure your customers are happy and staying loyal to you. And so moving forward, the remaining of our recommendation will focus on your current product and your current customers. So if you look at a few of the ways we can actually do this, there's two options. You can actually sell more to them by increasing the price or by selling them more units, which is something that more units would come with higher traffic, as we will see next. And playing around with price, we actually discarded that idea because it's something that's quite risky given the competition in the market space. So we actually focus our effort in bringing the customers more frequently to your stores. We actually see that there's three ways you could do that. You could increase the loyalty by implementing a loyalty program. We actually do believe that Metro et Moi is very well crafted. It's something that's working fine. And so any additional improvement we would make to the loyalty program would only lead to marginal growth. And so we focus our effort rather on increasing traffic in your stores. And we will do this in two ways. With events that will attract customers in your stores by their curiosity. And we also do this by something we call stores within stores concept. So if we look at Max, the story of Max will allow us to better understand what we mean by this. So Max, I want you to read. Max is a young professional, constantly runs after time. He rarely plans for his groceries, but rather wanders down the aisle and buys whatever catches his eye. Max goes to the grocery store out of necessity, because perhaps he's running out of milk, running out of bread. He needs to go to the store. Once he's at the store, however, Max rarely leaves only with milk or bread. So the story of Max is that of many of us, is that of myself and my colleagues as well. And it teaches us two very important points. The first point is that consumers actually buy on impulse. They're at the store, they need to buy milk, and they see something and actually buy it. Very few consumers went to the store only, they came for something, they actually came up with much more. So this is something that is typical of consumers in all of your stores. We also see that once the consumer is in store, the conversion is extremely high. And so what this leads us to think is that if you do increase traffic, you will increase your sales. If you increase your sales, you will lead to generate to grow sustainably, as well as increase loyalty if you do this properly. So moving forward, the stores within store concept is something very simple. You want to take your floor, you want to carve out a space in your store that will be rented out. But not rented out to anyone, rented out to people who actually, so for example, dry cleaning and post office. It's not an impulse buy. It's something I realize I need to get my shirt ironed, I need to go and pick up my mail. And so it will drive traffic to your store. And once they're at their store, they'll do two things. They'll impulse buy and they'll have a high conversion rate when they're at your store. So this is something that actually generates traffic. To make sure it's as efficient as possible, you want to put those stores at the far back of your store to make sure the consumer has to walk in front of as many temptations as possible to make sure that the strategy is as efficient as it can be. It increases traffic and it also brings in steady cash flows from rents that you're doing. There is a major downside to that that we do acknowledge. It is the fact that you will be losing some shelf space. Shelf space is the nerf de la guerre in the retailing, in the grocery store business. And so we actually do believe that there are two mitigating factors that will allow us to move forward and to think that this is a very solid idea. First, the rental income. You're generating money sustainably, so you're less reliable on whether your consumers are going to buy an economic crisis or anything of that sort. This is coming whatever one, so this is a very good thing. The second thing is that we do believe that the higher traffic will far exceed the cost for shelf space. In the long term, we also believe that the prevalence of e-commerce will reduce the need for commoditized good in your stores, in your groceries. So, moving forward, we came up with another alternative, which is called the Travel the World with Your Taste Buds. So what this is an event that will trigger curiosity, that will drive traffic in your stores. So in addition to the previous initiative, these two initiatives we believe will generate some very sustainable growth. So what this would look like is a series of events held throughout the year on a monthly basis, where the consumer would walk into your store and would see different booths representing different countries, would actually be able to go there, talk to a representative, who would be telling them about the culture, telling them about traditional meals, taste some of those traditional meals, some of the products you're selling at Metro. This will drive traffic, and we'll also do a second thing that's very important, is that once I try this product that perhaps I've never tried, it also, next time I come to your store, you might actually buy it, so I buy more product, leading to sustainable growth again. So I'll now pass it on to Karim, who's going to look at some of the financial implications.
Thank you. So now, obviously, all these things are very interesting, but in reality, all that matters is how much money you can make out of this. So since Metro is facing many different challenges, it also has many different goals, we had to make different strategies. So we're going to look at all of these separately when analyzing the financial implications. So let's begin with the e-commerce strategy that we use at the beginning in order to fight against the bigger guys such as Walmart and Target. So in order to analyze the cost part of the strategy, we're going to look at the initial investment at first, so how much you're going to have to pay upfront in order to finance the strategy, and then how much you're going to have to pay every year in order to keep it going. So at the beginning, you're going to need to develop this new platform. We evaluate these costs. We can go more in detail about the assumptions later on if you want. But basically, you need to develop the platform online for the online shopping. Then you're going to have to deliver all these groceries, of course. So you're going to have to buy grocery trucks. Also, you're going to have to hire truck drivers, etc. So all these things amount to $3 million in the first year. Most of that comes from the trucks, of course, since that's a significant investment. However, that's obviously just at the beginning, and then later on, you're basically only going to have to pay the maintenance for these trucks, as you can see in the second half of the slide. And then obviously you're going to have to pay the salaries for these truck drivers. And we estimate these total costs per year to about $84 million. So that's significant, of course, when you look at the sales that Metro makes every year. It's pretty acceptable, we believe. Now, looking at the revenue side of this strategy, what we did is that we assumed that basically since you guys already have a mobile app and a functional website, the investment for that is going to be minimal. Also, we have a pretty good inventory management system, which is obviously required in order to make that sort of program, and therefore we kind of omitted those in the calculations. And then in order to project the revenues, we looked at the current revenues for Super C and your other low price companies, and then we just looked at how much we could improve those percentage-wise, and then that gives us this sort of graph. So as you can see, this strategy becomes profitable after 5 years. So until then, the yearly costs, which mainly come from the salaries that you pay to the truck drivers, is pretty high compared to the revenues. However, after that, you'll be beginning to making more profit. Then, when it comes to the in-store events, the costs really are very limited. The thing is, the people that are coming in to present their food, etc., are getting compensated through the exposure that they're getting, and therefore we won't be paying them a lot of money, or actually none at all. And therefore the only cost you're going to have is going to be the organization cost for the events, and also the equipment and all that, and that's what's included in this pie chart up here. And obviously you're going to have to pay this, this is annually, so every year for these events. We project 12 events a year in every of your stores, and that amounts to this amount right here. Then moving on to these in-store events, in order to calculate the benefits, as you can see, the benefits clearly outweigh the costs, and that's because, as I explained, the costs are almost not significant. And on the other hand, the revenues are pretty high because of the increased foot traffic in the store, and also since we know that conversion rates in the stores are actually extremely high, we believe that this will really increase your sales, and therefore, as you can see, that will increase your sales by 1.2 billion within 10 years, which is actually pretty considerable. Then, in terms of the stores within stores concept, we evaluate the revenues by looking at the rents, also looking at how much people would spend through the increased foot traffic, and therefore this amounts to the amount right here. And this is per store, and therefore you just have to look at globally, depending on how many stores you want to implement this in, that will give you the total benefit annually for this strategy.
So now that we've heard a little bit about our plan, we want to know how we're going to exactly implement this over our time horizon, which extends through to 2018. So in 2014, going along with our acquisition strategy, we want to look at all the small ethnic players in the landscape and determine who are the most attractive. So this creates a short list in early 2014, and along with this, we want to start with our global ethnic tasting events in all of our metro stores. So moving on to 2015, still in the very short term, we want to look for these partners that we've talked about for the store within a store concept. These include, as Alexi mentioned, those post offices, those tri-cleaners, anything else that can generate a significant amount of increased traffic in our stores. This is where our e-commerce plan also begins, so that includes both the Metro and a Metro plan, as well as the online ordering system. And moving into 2016, as we've already established a shortlist 2 years prior, we want to go through the shortlist, comb through all the candidates, and determine who exactly we're going to be moving forward with. And that's going to have a negotiation process that goes along with that. In 2017, we want to move forward with the virtual code and QR initiative. We want to close the acquisition and begin integrating this new chain into our grocery stores. And then in 2018, if we monitor our SWS, store within a store concept, and determine that it has been successful in the past couple of years, then we'll continue to move forward with that, as well as fully integrate our new Target specialty store. For the sake of time, I have 3 risks and mitigants on the board, but we'll just stick with one for the sake of time. So one of the biggest risks to anything new that comes into any business is cannibalization. We want to ensure that we don't cannibalize other discount stores with our e-commerce concept, but we've identified that the changing in consumer preferences, going online, changing demographics, using the internet more will mitigate that risk, and hopefully it will be profitable moving into the future. So key takeaways: Metro can defend against general merchandisers through their own discount stores and an e-commerce platform. Specialty stores are attractive acquisition targets, and trends should be monitored closely on a national and regional basis. To further grow Metro, ought to generate traffic through events and SWS concept, and overall we expect this recommendation to break even by the 5th year with our first recommendation. So now that we've heard our plan, let's get on those boots, put on those hats, and get to war, because after all, no war ever wasted itself. Thank you.
Conventional banners. We like the strategy to acquire little player, niche player. Although there is a risk that we need to mitigate, is the risk that Sobeys and, to name the competitors, Sobeys and Loblaws, benefits from synergies that is coming from big acquisition that they have done. And the risk is maybe they will try to have lower price inside of the conventional banners. The acquisition of little player will not generate as much as synergies. So do you have a strategy to face it?
So we see that the consumers who go to your stores are not as price sensitive as consumers who go to discount stores. So this would, yes, be a very something you would want to monitor very closely, but it's something that if I'm super, super price sensitive, I will rather go to the discount store or shop online. So we're mitigating that risk by ourselves going online and making sure that if a consumer is too price sensitive, we're actually going to outcompete Sobeys, and we're actually going to outcompete the Walmart and the Targets of this world by already this. So we're fighting on different fronts. And Metro, we want to position them as perhaps being more premium. So if the competitors wants to lower its price, it's going to hurt its brand, it's going to lower its brand equity. We will try to specialize, acquire gourmet, perhaps food, something we've done with Plant Moisson. Then the store, up your brand, price it at perhaps a bit more higher, a bit of premium, and then with your discount stores, fight head to head with the Sobeys. If they want to switch the category, that's their choice. We will leave us some more space in our zone.
How do you believe why the e-commerce is better for the discount store than the conventional store?
So we've analyzed both the consumers who shop at the discount stores and the specialty stores, and one of the key drivers that drive these consumers to buy at the discount store is convenience. And that is the foundation of e-commerce. The consumer can sit on his couch, on his chair, and purchase whatever groceries they want, and delivered right to their door. And I think on the foundation of just simply being more convenient, then the e-commerce solution is just simply better.
Two questions about the same topic. The impact of your proposition on stores that are outside of the big cities of Montreal or in different cities in Ontario as well. When you talk about the ethnic food stores, how would that impact stores that are outside big cities, big center? And the same for the delivery services. Is it only like for the major cities in Quebec and in Ontario, or do you plan that as well for others, smaller cities?
So with the first question about the cultural ethnic stores. So we're gonna start obviously where most of those stores are. So obviously that will be in the cities mainly at the beginning. However, gradually we're gonna move on as to cover most of the geographic region that you're covering, that is Quebec and Ontario. And similarly for the other part of the question, that is about the can you remind me, excuse me, about the e-commerce, right?
Exactly, for the delivering service, would it be only for like those big cities like Montreal or others, or as well for smaller cities?
The thing is that this is going to be done gradually once again. So obviously you're going to be in where most of the distribution centers are, so that would be in the big urban areas. However, gradually as we test the strategy and see how to best implement it, we will move on to these to more of the rural areas and cover most of the population and our target customers.
And perhaps if further mitigates that risk, what we could do is set a minimum order. So you will get free delivery if you order anything above $100.
Thank you.